Hi there. In today's Webflow tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up a custom navigation bar for your desktop version of your website. So what we're going to do first is click on Body, and then we're going to add a div block. Go ahead and give the div block a class of landing. And what we're going to do is set the height to 100 dvh. Now, if you scroll down, we're going to go ahead and set the background to a gray color, just a dark color. There we go. The reason for creating a landing page is so that way you can see the navigation bar a little bit easier in this tutorial. Let's go ahead and click on Body again. And what we're going to do is add a section. And we're going to click on the section and move it above landing. And we're going to give it the class of nav bar. Okay. The reason why I chose a section element is because a section covers the entire width of a website, and that comes in really handy, especially for creating a navigation bar. Now, what we're going to do is make sure we scroll to Layout with the nav bar element selected, and we're going to set it to a flex for space between, and make sure it's centered. So space between and center. Then we're going to set the padding left and right. We're going to set it to 1 rem. Don't worry if the navigation bar disappears. The height of the navigation bar is going to be determined by the elements we're going to put inside of it. Let's go ahead and add a link block. And inside the link block, we're going to add a text block. Now, go ahead and click on the link block, and for the class, we're going to set it to nav link. And then for the text block, we're going to set the class to nav text, or TXT for short. Go ahead and click on nav link, and we're going to scroll down to typography, and we're going to set it to transparent. And then for decor, just set it to none. By default, whenever you add text inside of a link block, what happens is the text becomes blue and it gets underlined. So when you configure the link block to take out those settings, you'll be able to style the text accordingly. So let's go ahead and click on nav text. Under typography, set the transparency to 100% so you can see it. And we're going to set the text color to black. And what we're going to do is set the size to 16. And then for weight, let's set it to bold. And there we go. That looks good. Now click on the nav link again. And then we're going to set the padding to 0.5 rem left and right. And then for the top and bottom, what we're going to do is set it to 1 rem. Okay. Go ahead and click on the nav text. Click on settings. And then you can change the text right here. There we go. Now, usually what you can do is put in an image for this area, but I decided to put the name of the company because I've noticed some navigation bars just have the name of the company instead of a logo. Now that we have this set up, what we're going to do now is click on nav bar, and then we're going to add in a div block. If you notice, the div block is way over here, and this link block, is way over here. That's because we set it to space between. They're not going to be near each other. Click on the div block again. And what I'm going to do is call it nav options container. Basically, this is where I'm going to store how you're going to travel through the website. So every link necessary is going to be here. Go ahead and click on nav link and use Control C or Command C on a Mac. Go ahead and go to nav options container and then use Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac. All right, that's set right there. Perfect. What I'm going to do now is with navlink selected, I'm going to add in a combo class. So I'm going to click here and it says here new combo class. Let's go ahead and type in option. And what we're going to do now is click the drop down right here and then go to hover. Scroll down to background. And what I want is a light blue background. That's perfect. Now go ahead and click the drop down again and click on none. What we just did was set up an interaction in which on mouse hover, the background will change color. I'm going to go ahead to nav text and I'm just going to click on settings and then call it home. Now, every navigation is going to have some similarities and differences. What I'm going to do is just add a few options to navigate through. So how I do that is I'm just going to click on nav link, the one that we just set up with the hover animation. Then I'm going to use Control D or Command D on Mac to create a duplicate. And then I could just create another duplicate. There we go. I have 3 options now. Then what I'm going to do is fan out nav link so I can get to nav text and then go to settings and change it accordingly. Let's go ahead and click on nav options container. And what we're going to do now is just add a drop down. But the first thing I want to do is make sure my nav options container is selected and I'm going to set it to a flex. And then we're going to set it to center and center again. So let's go ahead and add in the drop down. And there you go. What we can do is leave the drop down as it is and just program it to link it to other web pages or assets or what have you. Or we can design it in a way that matches up to what we already have on the navigation bar. So let's do that. Go ahead and click on the drop down and fan out the options you have, and then fan out the options for drop down toggle. What you can do is go ahead and click on icon and you can just delete it. And if you don't want to do that, you just click on the icon and then click none. Personally, I'm just going to delete it. Now, for text block, what we can do is reuse the same class nav text here. So let's go ahead and click on text block. And then under style, we're going to set it to nav text. And there you go. It looks exactly the same like the other ones. Let's go ahead to drop down toggle. And if you notice on drop down toggle, the spacing is already set to 20 pixels all around, but I really want everything to match up. So what I'm going to do is 1 rem. top and bottom. And for the left and right, 0.5 rem. There we go. And for the drop down toggle, what we can do is click here and set the hover and change the background to the same shade of blue we used. So what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this color. And then I'm going to go ahead to drop down. Drop down toggle is selected. Perfect. And then set the hover background. There we go. Oh, looks like it didn't save. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And the next thing we can do is click on drop down, go to settings, and then make sure open menu on hover is selected. Now, whenever you hover your mouse, let's go to preview mode. Whenever you hover the mouse, you're going to have the links right here. I'm going to quickly discuss programming the link block, which is really easy. Just select your link block, for example, this one that has the company name, and then make sure settings is active right here. And under link settings, you can set it to a URL, set it to a page and page section, and other things that need to be linked. But obviously, you're going to be using between page, URL, or page section. And then you can set it here accordingly. The same thing can be done with the other link blocks. Now, for Dropbox to set up the link blocks, what you would have to do is click on drop down list, and you can select drop down link. Now, if you notice, the settings is a little bit different, but if you notice settings, you can set the URL, page, and other necessities here. You can also choose to open a new tab or keep it in the current tab. Same thing for page, and that's about it. Now, let's take a quick note. If you notice the drop down and the link, they kind of a little flat there. So what we can do is actually use one of these buttons to populate the drop down. Let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing we want to do is go to drop down, and in the settings tab, we're going to click on drop down settings, show. Then what we can do is actually delete these drop down links. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and click on whichever link block you want to use, and then use copy, and then click on drop down list, and then you're going to use paste. Let's go ahead and click on drop down, and then for drop down settings, click show. And as you can see, the option is right there. What we're going to do now is make this a little more centered. So go ahead and click on nav link, and then click on style. As you notice, we already have a combo class nav link, and we have nav link with a combo class of option. Now we're going to add in a third combo class, and we're going to call it drop. What we're going to do for the drop combo class is set the width to 100% and the height to 100%. And we're going to set it to a flex. And make sure the flex is set to centered. Now, if you noticed, it's perfectly set right there. With this combo class setup, what we can do now is just duplicate and add as many as you want. And we could just change it to however you want. So items, and then for this one, you can set it to, I don't know, sales team. Marketing. Okay. And for the drop down list, what we can do is also set up how wide we're going to set up. So let's say 200 pixels. And then for this area, we can set it to 0%. Yeah, that should work. And then now what we can do is click on drop down, settings, and then for drop down settings, click hide. And then we can preview it. There you go. That looks nice. And what we can do is go back to the drop down list, do some minor editing. I set it to 0% here. It looks like it's gone. Let me see something. You know what? It actually looks better without the percentage. But just for curiosity. Okay, now we have it set to 0%. Either way, it looks great. So one tip I would give you is when in doubt, just use 0% on the left or the right. Just experiment because not all drop downs are created equally. So I'm going to set this to auto, leave that alone. And look at that, all set. The only reason why the it's a little wider is because I used the word sales team. But other than that, this is pretty much the bare bones of creating your own navigation bar, and you can add as many drop downs as you want. You can add as many options for the drop down as you want. You can edit the drop downs the way I just showed you. And you can even add a call to action button. So what we can do now is make sure nav options container is selected, and we can just add in a button. And for the button, I would just call it CTS, call to action. And I would just scroll down and set the roundness to 10 pixels all around. And for the text, what I would do is just set it to bold. There we go. And obviously you can program the button however you want. It's totally up to you. So you can have your options here, your drop down options here, and a call to action there, and you're all set. And what you can also do is once you're done with your navigation bar, obviously you don't want to keep copying and pasting it. You know, that'll get really annoying. What you can do is, you can select the nav bar, copy it, go to another page, paste it, go to another page, paste it. That's not really productive. Instead, what you can do is right click on the navigation bar you just created. So I'm just going to click nav bar, right click, and right here it says create component. Then I'm going to name it nav bar desktop. And I'm going to click on create. And obviously this window is going to pop up. What we can do is just exit out until everything looks normal. And now what you did was create a component. So you can click on body. For example, let's just say you're on another page within your website project and you already created a component with the navigation bar. Click on body or whatever. You can use Control E and then type in nav And notice right here, navbar desktop component. Now you have a way to easily find your navigation bar and just add it to whatever page you're using. And as you can see, I got 2 navigation bars, which is not necessary. But there you go. The next step is pretty simple. All you got to do is program each link the way you see fit for your navigation bar. I hope you found this tutorial insightful and you have a technological day.